Karl will open up with a couple of statements reviewing Saturday's game. By the way, he's the 11th of our 27 coaches to open with 2 wins, 13th to go 2-0 in his first 2 conference games. So there's your fun fact for the day.
Fun fact.
Take it away, Coach.
All right, thank you, David. It was a good performance that I think our team that I think we grew from week 1 to week 2. Winning on the road is always going to be difficult. We felt our team was ready to play. I was really excited and impressed with what our defense did early in the game. Stanford had a couple of drives early in the first quarter that we kept them out of the end zone, and at least they kicked field goals. Offensively, we had a little bit of a slower start than we did the first week. Sam threw his first interception. So all those things are on the early portions of the game. So I think the offense eventually kind of settled down and kicked in, but I think the defense allowed for that to happen. The defense played really well. Like I said, the first 2 drives to just kick field goals to get ourselves a chance to get going offensively, which we did. So it was a good testament of complementary football for either side of the ball in this case, and I felt we did some really good positive things. Came out in the second half. The offense was hot. We had the ball and had a chance to make a couple of good quick scores, touchdowns. There was a point in time we had a pretty good lead in the game, which was something that we got to keep building on and not make these opportunities become closer than they usually have been the last couple of weeks towards the end of the fourth quarter. But when you're ever going through games like that, I think your team learns a lot about themselves, particularly going through it on the road. And I felt we did what it took to be successful and finish the game. So defensively, I thought we made a lot of improvement from the previous week. There weren't as many explosive plays. I felt our run defense was really, really stout. So there wasn't try to keep that at bay, so to speak, which is hard to do against a Stanford team. And we shored up some of the coverage things that we were plagued with in the first week. We still have some things to continue to clean up in the back end. That's, like I said, you guys all know, that's the youth of our defense right now, is the back end of our defensive scheme. But we had some better performances. The thing that we kind of kick ourselves in the butt about on the defensive side is that there was at least 5 or 6 guys that had their hands on the ball that could have been turnovers. And so that's a good thing that we got our hands on some balls, but we need to execute and finish those opportunities, because if we did, then the score wouldn't have been as close as it was either. So definitely some great things for us to work on and improve as we move forward. The team's excited about making the next step. So that's my opening statement, which is probably longer than most. But I think I have a little more time this week, so there's that other reason why. So thanks.
And before we start, I just got an email from the Pac-12. The time and television for the USC game is going to be on a 6-day selection with 2 other games, so we won't know until Sunday morning. All right, first question's from Rod Mackey.
Yeah, Coach, can you just kind of talk about the ASU news? Obviously, there's so much made of momentum. You guys are on such a roll. I'm sure that made the news even harder to hear.
It's, Rod, I'm glad that, we knew that at some point in time it was going to happen over the course of the season, where there's going to be a no contest, a postponement, a cancellation. We kind of knew that going into it. We try to stay as healthy as, I'm sure all of our conference members are trying to do that. I'm concerned about our group, our team. We've done a really fabulous job with our health, and we got to continue to stay on that path. But it is unfortunate for us that, we coming off of 2 games of playing well and winning games, and now we have a little bit of a pause in the season. I think our players, we had a great discussion about it yesterday. We understand that this was going to be part of the process, but we're going to treat this week as a week of really try to clean up a lot of things that we can do for ourselves, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. So there's also that, Rod, to be honest with you, we saw what happened to the UCLA-Cal game late in the week where they got an announcement that they were playing. That might happen at some point in time during the week. So we are on high alert for anything and everything that could happen in this given week. But it's kind of the nature of this year. You know, it's a year of everything's can change day to day, and we're just going to not bat an eye to it and rise to the occasion when we get an opportunity and play and hopefully continue the success we've been having.
Art Pizzani, Sterling.
Hey, Coach. Assuming y'all aren't able to find a replacement game for Saturday and you have this extra week practice, what's the number one thing you'd like to see in terms of improvement in practice over the course of the next 2 weeks before the next game?
The biggest thing we want to continue to develop our depth and, you know, improve schemes. You know, obviously on offense, defense, and special teams, we can always improve those areas. But, you know, I'm looking at it this season, this fall, as really improving our depth, getting some experience with some certain positions, guys that haven't played, you know, some of our freshmen that haven't played. You know, we'd like to get them some experience in playing. Anytime that we can do that with guys that haven't played, it helps their confidence and game experience of what it feels like when they do play. So I would say we're going to just focus on shoring up the issues that we feel are concerns for us in our program. And so kind of scratch where it itches, so to speak. There's an itch here about this getting fixed. We're going to address those types of things, but also to create our depth because we're going to need these guys at some point in time over the season. You know, whether it's because of COVID, whether it's because of an injury, you know, we want guys that can step in and replace and function very well for us.
Brian Hale, Cameron.
Coach, speaking of your depth, it's been tested already this season, especially at center and at tight end now with Brady Russell going out the other day. Just curious if you can give us update on those two positions and kind of an assessment of how Kari Kutch played at center the other day.
Yeah, those positions are nicked up right now. You know, the tight end position, center position. You know, the positive if we don't play is that gives us a week of recovery on certain aspects that might help some of those guys. Kari played well. You know, Kari came in and his experience and him being a senior because he's played, I believe, some center snaps before in his career. And, you know, he came in and did some nice things. You know, he started a little bit, I would say, you know, on the low side in terms of snaps. You know, the snaps early part of the game were a little bit low. And I think he settled in and played really well. So we've been really very appreciative of Kari because he's one of our top offensive linemen that have been so consistent. You know, he's kind of a steady rock for our offensive front, and he's kind of in the middle of that core. And for him to do that, you know, it just shows you a lot about the confidence he has in himself and how much confidence we have in him.
Can I ask you a quick follow? When did Kari start practicing at center last week? Did he get much time there?
He started right from the start. You know, as soon as we knew that Colby would be out, so he practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Justin Guerrero, CU Sports Nation.
Coach, Christian Gonzalez is the guy who's had a number of defensive pass interference calls on him so far this season, a couple of which have probably been more in the iffy, questionable side of things, but he's also the number 2 tackler on the team right now. I'm just wondering through 2 games what your evaluation of him has been and if you see him trending in the right direction in terms of confidence and just how he's playing on a week-by-week basis.
He is trending in the right direction, and we are working on his confidence because, you know, here's a true freshman that's playing major college football, and he's starting for us, and you know, we feel in time he's going to be one of the best players in our conference with his experience and everything that's in front of him. But right now, you know, he is getting targeted a lot. You know, and I've told him that after the game. Part of it is, you know, you're learning with trial by fire, so to speak, in this conference. And this conference throws a football, and they're going to go to who they think is a fresh, new, young player that has little experience. So they're going to make him earn his medal, so to speak, with all this stuff that goes with playing. So, I told him, continue the onslaught. It's gonna happen. They're gonna continue to go after you. But your technique will improve. You'll get your confidence to get where it should be, and you'll start making more plays on the ball where they become interceptions, and all of a sudden they won't be thrown at you anymore. So, it's one of those processes that most young players have to deal with. They're gonna be, it's trial by fire. But I have a lot of confidence in Christian. He's going to be a really, really fine player, and he's just got to get better week after week.
Pat Graham, AP.
Hey, Coach, how you doing? Hey, I know coaches don't like to deal in hypotheticals, but you kind of alluded to it earlier, and this is kind of a unique season. How difficult would it be to pivot and play, let's say they flip-flop the USC game? Is that a hardship, or how is that? How do you get ready for that, and does it throw everything out of whack?
Well, I don't think it'll throw everything out of whack, Pat, because from my standpoint, I've looked at all the teams and have kind of a preliminary scouting plan for all of our conference members. So for that to occur, it wouldn't be like a tremendously hard thing for us to kind of shift gears to do, just because we've already put some work in of all of our conference members that we were playing, so far for this season. So I think it would be harder, if you try to play someone out of conference that you don't have much familiarity with. That's the harder scenario to get that type of that type of game schedule where it's late in the week and all of a sudden you're playing someone that you weren't anticipating. So that would be more challenging. But, I would say, just because, most of the things that we're dealing with, Pat, is that, we're really taking this really a day at a time, with not creating a panic opportunity in anything that we do, just to say that, anything and everything can happen. And literally, that's kind of what our approach will be as we move forward. We're just going to be ready for anything that comes up and do our best when it does.
Adam Munster, Tiger, Buff Stampede.
Hi, Coach. Obviously, we see the plays that Sam makes out there. How is he graded out from just the mental aspect of it, diagnosing defenses, making the right decisions? And we still see him out there trying to hurdle defenders. Is that just kind of who he is as a player? Is that hard to coach that competitiveness out of him?
Well, I'm trying to get the karate kick, that jump kick. I got to get that fixed. What he's doing, but I love the kid because he is a competitor, and he's trying to do the right things. But like you said, Adam, he's minimizing his mistakes from one week to the next. I would say he made minimal. He's made some ground that way, where he didn't make as many mistakes in the first game that he did in this game. He is getting more comfortable. I want to keep coaching him about getting down and protecting himself and not being exposed. And I think he took that as, well, I should karate kick whenever someone gets near me. But I'm going to I'm just joking. I'm going to keep riding him on doing the safer aspects of protecting himself. But I'm really impressed with what he's done these first 2 weeks. He threw his first interception, didn't bat an eye about it, didn't lose focus, didn't get down. He just kept fighting, kept going out there. Hey, I shouldn't have done that. I should have saw that. He kind of quickly goes through the process of talking through it, understanding why he did it, moves on from it. And that's what you want. You don't want a quarterback that's going to be lingering on things that have happened in the past. And, that seems not to be his nature. So I'm very pleased with where he's progressing. And other than protecting himself better, that's going to be the thing we'll keep focusing on.
Kyle Bonagura, ESPN.com.
Hey, Karl, how willing would you guys be to play a non-conference team this week if the Pac-12 were to amend the rule to allow it? And have you heard anything on that front from the conference?
Haven't heard anything yet. I know that that's being discussed right now. Coaches aren't usually involved in that. That's the ADs and presidents and chancellors and all that stuff. So that's the higher level. That's the next level for me. So I know that there's a possibility, that might happen. I'm not sure if the conference is willing to do that, but we're going to explore all options. I know Rick George is he's going to be exploring every option he has. at our disposal to see what happens. I actually expressed that with the team too. We could possibly be playing someone out of conference this week, and we got to be ready at a moment's notice. So we're all on high alert for anything and everything. So, but I haven't heard anything as of today though.
But you would prefer to play a non-conference opponent than sit at home then?
I would like to continue to play. Yes, I would. And there's real possibilities of you heard what happened last week there's a couple of games that were involved that matched up Cal and UCLA to play, late in the week. And, we just got to see, how every conference member, how their health is through the course of this week, because that scenario might show up again. So it could be a conference team or it could be someone out of conference. I'm not sure. But, yes, I would want to play.
Thank you.
Sean Keeler, Denver Post.
Oh, that would. Thanks.
What was that?
You're on mute, Sean.
I got jumped. That was my question. I'll ask it. Thanks. I'm not as undefeated as you today. Sorry. Thanks.
So you're covered. Okay. Let's go back to Hart Pisani.
Hey, Coach. So I know Ashad Clayton got a carry early on in the first half. Are you planning on trying to incorporate him more into the offense as the season goes on, or was that just kind of like a need at the time, or just how do you think he's progressing?
I think he's progressing really well. We have a number of freshmen, including Ashad. We talked about Christian Gonzalez, and there's Montana that's playing. So we have a number of freshmen, Brendan Rice, that are playing. We want those guys to play. So, yes, I would love for Ashad to get more time, more experience. He's a really good player, just like a number of our freshmen are. So, this is, we would love for our guys to gain more experience this year so they can use that as a feather in their cap for next fall. So, yes, we want to continue to bring his development along with a number of freshmen that we're playing with.
Back to Brian Howell.
So, Coach, Sam's obviously gotten a lot of attention, but, Isaiah Lewis is another player that has been really waiting for his time and has looked pretty good so far this season. Chance Lytle the other day gets in there after sitting around for a couple years as well. These guys stepping in, these veteran guys, does that speak to kind of their competitiveness and their hard work, and how much of that speaks to the development of your coaches and the teaching you guys have done?
I think both, Brian. I really do. I think our coaches are doing a great job of developing our players. I think that's the biggest part of our success and continued success as we build our program is continue to develop our depth. It's that, we try to live with the next man up, scenario. We understand that this game's a physical game. You're going to lose players and you want guys ready to play, so development is critical. And I would say because of like a Chance Lytle, a guy that's an older player, he's gotten much, much better over the time since I've been here. I watched him play on film last year. He's had some experience. And then I watched him as a player in our fall camp before the season. I mean, he's a completely different player than what I saw last fall. And a lot of it is he's more competitive. He's more confident in who he is. I mean, I think he understands what we're trying to build, and he's getting better. And so he had a chance to start his first game last week and played well. So that's the kind of our theory with our team is develop our depth, and then there's going to be times, man. This is a physical game. Guys are going to go down, and we're going to have guys come in and step up and understand that we're expecting the same type of production of guys that have started, and so far, it's worked pretty well for us. So we're going to continue that developmental piece.
Whit Harrington, can you put your phone on mute? I muted him. Okay, Justin Guerrero.
Hey, Coach, with Jaron Mangum, with Jaron Mangum in a strict statistical sense, I mean, yards per carry, maybe getting tackled behind the line of scrimmage a number of times. Statistically speaking, it looks like he might be having a bit of a rough start to the season. And I was just wondering, with him, is there more than meets the eye with him? Would you consider him as a guy who's struggling a little bit early on in the year, and kind of evaluate what you've seen from him so far?
Well, he's had a combination of a couple of things. I think, his footwork and reads are, sometimes not as consistent as they should be. And then the other part of that equation is, he's gotten some opportunities where there wasn't as much space as what it's been for other players. So it's a combination of both. But in either case, we got to get better. We got to get better. We understand that we want to have a balanced run attack. Obviously, Jarek has done a nice job for the last 2 games of creating some production and running hard and doing some really good things. Jaren's a different player than Jarek, so the style's different, they're different sizes, all those things. So, it's a combination of a number of things. But we want to play the guys that are going to be productive for us. That position is going to stay really competitive throughout the week. I think practicing is part of the evaluation as to who the rotation goes to and things of that nature. So, it's a very, very competitive area because we got really good backs. Josiah Davis, he didn't get any snaps, but he's had a really good camp. We already mentioned about Ashad Clayton getting a snap. So we have some hungry players that want to play. And, so the guys that are above those guys, they got to continue to produce or we're going to go to the next guy. So it is that type of competitive situation that I think will foster for that room to stay competitive and get better.
Back to Pat Graham.
Hey, Coach, in your vast coaching experience, when you experience a player like Brendan Rice, does his lineage, does that help him or hurt him? I mean, do people almost expect too much, and is that unfair?
It's always unfair when you have a famous dad that's an everything and Hall of Famer and all that stuff. But if you talk to the kid, and I'm sure you guys have, he wants to stake his own claim. He wants to be who he is and not necessarily off of the coattails of his dad. And I don't blame him. I want him, and I want him to be him. Brendan Rice is a really good player, and he's got a chance to have his own great career, and he's going to do it on his own merit, not on the merits or coattails of anything else. So I think he's handled that really well, and he's a very determined kid, very competitive kid. So, I'm a Brendan Rice fan. He's got a chance to be a really good player, and he's on course to, if he continues the trend like he's doing, he's going to be an excellent player on his own right.
Okay, back to Hart Pisani.
Coach, I know the first game, Tyler was able to get in a series at quarterback. He wasn't out there this past week. Was there an injury thing there, or you just flow of the game felt like sticking with Sam the whole way?
It was more the flow of the game. And I talked to Tyler right away. I'm a big communicator about when those types of things happen, and particularly right after the game, about that wasn't my intention of not getting them in there when it was just really from what I was feeling at the flow of the game at that point in time. He completely understood it. So, I'm a big guy about addressing those things right away. So he gets it. There's a chance this week that he'll get a chance to play, and he knows that my intentions are. So, but it was basically just the flow of the game.
And we'll wrap it up with one from our very own Neil Welk.
Hey, Carl, quick question on the touchdown to Brendan Rice. Did Sam look over and see that corner kind of cheating up and know that Brendan was going to be that wide open on that play?
Absolutely. He saw it. He actually pointed at it, too, and gave him a nod like, I see he's coming. And then they made the mistake of not having a safety rotate over the top. So it was a great read for both Sam and Brendan to be on the same page, and it was a well-executed play. So, yeah, they both were on the same page about it.
Okay, I see no more requests in the queue. So, Carl, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back as soon as we know if we're playing this week.
All right,
we're
sounds
still
good.
Practice, so Carl will be back on Wednesday.
Thank you.